quick look at the if statement. We're going to imagine a scenario where we have a robot, and this is a robot here, and he can do two things. He can move, or he can stop. And this is really just by deciding whether the wheels turn or not, but he can actually also do one other thing, and that other thing he can do is he can sense. So this robot has the ability to look and see if it can find anything. So it sends out a beam, one eye, and then let's just say the other eye gets back something to say, okay, I've either found an object or I haven't. So in this case we might find an object such as a box, right? So it's going along this merry way, and then it runs into something, or before it does, it can sense that in fact there's something in the way. So what we want to do is write a program for the computer using the if statement that allows the robot to make a decision. So that means it won't execute all of the statements that we write, but what it will do is execute all the statements that it needs to. So let's imagine this sensor. So if it senses something, we'll give it a value of 1. And if it doesn't sense anything, it comes back with a value of 0. So this is just the sensor has turned this particular action into a particular value. So we have our sensor, so we'll have a variable, we'll call it s. So it can really only have two values. It can be 1 or it can be 0. So to write this program, what we would do is we would say something like, without worrying about syntax, we would say if s, which is our sensor, is, well, let's just say greater than 0. So if it's greater than 0, it's found the box. So if it's found a box, what we want it to do is to stop. And if that isn't true, we want it to go. Right? Something very simple. And that's really the basis of the if statement. So the if else statement allows us to test a condition, and the condition is, in this case, up here. Now look through this statement and decide, is this statement true or false? If the statement is true, then we're going to do one set of actions, and if it's false, we'll do another one. So this is done when this statement is true. So if we decided that the value in s is greater than 0, in other words it's 1 or some other value, and this is the sensor telling us that it's found something, then we decide we want to stop. But if this is not true, so s isn't greater than 0, probably is 0, then this is done because the statement was false. And this is a conditional statement, so this is used throughout the code to try and help us make decisions based on values that we find in variables. So in one instance of this program running, it could say I've executed this statement. It turns out that statement was true, then it would execute this statement. The next time through the program, something different might happen. It may say, okay, I will test the condition for s, so is s greater than 0? So yes it is, and then we would have done this, but in this case it's false. So there's no boxes and the sensor isn't seeing anything. Then we'll go on to this code and then this code. So the if statement is allowing us to create two different paths through our code. Right? So we can have this one or we can have this one, and we don't know which one we're going to go through until we actually do sensing, and then when we do some kind of sensing we can then say we have a test, and the test is either true or false, and this is the result. Now the syntax in lots of different languages will really be very similar. So if we had a quick look at just say some C code, we might write something like if, and then we'll start using brackets because we'll put everything, we'll know the test is in here, so we'll look at our variable s and see if that is greater than 0. So that's pretty ugly, so let's just fix that. So if s is greater than 0, then we might decide to look at a motor, and we'll assign a value into a motor. So we have a variable called motor, and that will be equal to 0, because we want the motor to stop. else. We want the motor to go. We can assign a value equal to that. Assign that equal to 1. Okay, so in this case we can have semicolons. So really very similar to the basic construct. And you'll find in most languages, even if the syntax is slightly different, the main thing is to get an understanding that it is a test condition that you're looking at. This is the most important thing. In the if statement, you say if this is true, then you will do this code. If this is not true, then you will do this other piece of code. And in most cases, you can execute multiple lines of code. Multiple lines of code here. I'll just, in C for example, we may have wanted to do different things to get this to stop. So we could have some curly brackets. We would have had another statement in here, and another one, and another one. So it's not just one statement, it's a block of code, or a whole sequence of statements can be done for this condition or for this condition. And really that's the main thing that you need to know about the if statement.